The twin suns were setting over the dusty market of Vetra 9, a small colony where humans and aliens traded side by side, but rarely looked each other in the eye. The air was dry and the smell of metal and smoke filled the streets. Captain Ryan Hale walked through the crowd with his little daughter. Lily, her small hand wrapped around his, she was only 8, curious, kind, and full of questions that Ryan sometimes didn't know how to answer. Ever since her mother died during the cargo war, Ryan had tried to give her a quiet life far away from conflict, but peace was rare even here. They stopped near a food stall where warm bread and stew were being served. Lily's eyes sparkled when she saw the golden crust of the bread. Ryan bought her a small meal, and they sat on a wooden bench nearby. The child smiled, ready to eat. But then she noticed someone standing in the shadow behind the stall. A small alien girl, thin as bone, her skin pale blue with faint silver lines that glowed weakly in the fading light. Her clothes were torn, her feet bare, her eyes large, glassy, and full of quiet hunger. "Watched Lily's plate, Daddy," Lily whispered. "She looks hungry." Ryan looked up, his eyes cold. Years of war and betrayal made him wary of aliens. "Eat your food, Lily," he said gently but firmly. "We can't feed everyone." Lily lowered her gaze, her small hands trembled. She tore a piece of bread and looked again at the alien girl. The alien didn't move, she only blinked slowly. As if afraid to come closer, Lily stood up, ignoring her father's warning. She walked over, her tiny boots kicking dust. "Here," she said softly. Holding out the bread, the alien girl flinched. As if expecting to be hit, her lips parted slightly, her voice barely a whisper. "You share with me?" Lily smiled brightly. "Yes, food tastes better when we share." Ryan watched silently, something heavy twisting in his chest around them. A few merchants paused to watch the strange sight. A human child offering food to a starving alien. The crowd whispered, some laughed, others frowned. One alien vendor muttered, "Humans only pretend to care when it's for show." But Lily didn't care. She placed the bread in the alien girl's shaking hands. The girl hesitated, then took a small bite. Her eyes filled with tears. "What's your name?" Lily asked. "Ray," the girl said, barely audible. "My people." Gone. Before Lily could ask more, a tall alien guard appeared, his armor scratched, his face harsh. "You there, child?" He barked. "That one, she's not allowed here." He pointed at Ray with disgust. "She is from the outcast line, dirty blood." Lily looked scared. "Dirty blood?" She repeated, not understanding. The guard sneered. "Her people were slaves to the warlords. Not citizens, not welcome." Ryan stood up slowly, his voice deep. "She's just a kid." The alien guard turned to him, his tone sharp. "Your kind should mind their own business, human. We remember your wars too." The tension grew. People stepped back, Ryan's hand clenched at his side, old instincts from his soldier days rising. But before he could speak, Ray dropped the bread and whispered, "I'm sorry," then ran into the alley. Disappearing between the metal walls, Lily turned to her father, her eyes shining with tears. "Daddy, why did they call her dirty? She didn't do anything wrong." Ryan looked at her, the words stuck in his throat. He had seen war destroy whole species, seen hunger and cruelty, but hearing his daughter ask that question made him feel something he hadn't felt in years. "Shame." "Finish your food, Lily," he said quietly. "It's getting dark." They walked back toward their transport. But Lily kept looking over her shoulder toward the alley where Ray had vanished, the sound of engines and voices fading behind them. That night, as they reached their home station, Ryan couldn't sleep. He kept hearing the alien guard's voice, "Dirty blood," and his daughter's soft one. She didn't do anything wrong. The next morning, when he took Lily to the market again, she was holding a small food pack wrapped in cloth. "For Ray," she said simply. Ryan sighed. "Lily." She might not even be there anymore, but Lily only smiled. "We can try, right?" Ryan looked down at her and felt something shift inside him. Maybe for the first time in years, he wanted to try too. He didn't know that this simple act of kindness, his daughter's innocent heart, was about to pull him into something far bigger, a secret hidden beneath the city, and that his next move would change the fate of both humans and aliens forever. The next day, the market on Vetra 9 buzzed as usual. But to Ryan, it felt different. His daughter's words from last night still echoed in his mind. She didn't do anything wrong. Lily held the small food pack close to her chest as they walked, her eyes scanning every corner, every shadow, hoping to see Ray again. She wore her favorite yellow jacket, its bright color standing out in the dusty gray market. Ryan followed behind, his hand resting on his belt, a habit from years of patrolling war zones. He told himself he was only doing this to keep Lily safe. Not because he cared about some alien child. But deep down, he already knew that wasn't true. They reached the same food stall, the same smell of stew floating in the air. But Ray wasn't there. Lily's small shoulders slumped. She looked around, then whispered, "Daddy." Maybe she's hungry somewhere else. Ryan didn't answer. His eyes moved to the alley where Ray had run yesterday. It was narrow, dark, and filled with broken crates. "Stay close," he said, and stepped inside. The deeper they went, the quieter it became. A low hum came from the power pipes that ran along the walls. Then they saw it. A small blanket, torn and dirty, lying near an old vent. Next to it was a half-eaten piece of bread. Lily gasped. "She was here," she said softly, kneeling beside it. "Look, Daddy, this is her bread." Ryan crouched down, touching the fabric. It was still warm. She hadn't been gone long. He looked around. "Ray?" he called. "You here, kid?" No answer, only the sound of water dripping. Lily placed the food pack near the vent, her little face hopeful. Maybe she'll find it, but just then, a voice echoed from the shadows, harsh and low. "Humans shouldn't be in this sector." Ryan turned sharply, his hand instinctively going to the small laser sidearm on his belt. 3 figures stepped forward. Alien scavengers. Tall, lean, their skin covered with mechanical implants, their eyes glowing dim red. "We're just looking for a child," Ryan said calmly. A small girl, blue skin, silver marks, the leader, with a scar running down his chin, laughed dryly. "You mean the outcast brat?" "She was taken last night," Lily gasped. "Taken? By who?" The alien's grin widened, showing sharp metal teeth. "By those who buy what no one else wants." Ryan stood up slowly, his jaw tight. "Where?" The alien shrugged. "Old dockyards, maybe. But you didn't hear that from me, human," he hissed. "Now leave, before you end up missing too." Ryan took Lily's hand and backed away, but his mind was already racing. Old instincts waking up again. Dockyards. That place was controlled by smugglers and slavers. If Ray was taken there, she wouldn't last long. As they reached the edge of the market, Lily tugged his arm. "Daddy, we have to help her." Ryan looked down at her. The determination in her eyes reminded him so much of her mother. He hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "All right. But you stay close to me." They took the transport tram toward the outer ring. The air grew colder, the lights dimmer. Broken ships and cargo containers lined the path. This was the place where the law didn't reach. When they arrived, Ryan told Lily to stay inside the tram while he scouted ahead. But the little girl refused. "She's my friend," she said stubbornly. "I'm coming." Ryan sighed but didn't argue. Together they walked past the silent cranes and rusted cargo tanks. The sound of engines in the distance, then they heard it. Crying faint, coming from one of the containers. Ryan motioned for silence. Creeping closer, he opened a small hatch. Inside were several alien children, frightened and weak, their wrists marked with tracking cuffs, and among them was Ray, her eyes wide when she saw Lily. "Lily," she whispered, tears in her silver-lined eyes. "They took me. They said they'll sell us." Before Ryan could answer, footsteps echoed behind them, armed guards approaching. "Get back," he whispered, pulling Lily close. He closed the hatch quietly and hid behind a pile of crates. His pulse racing, the guards passed by, their conversation clear. "Shipment leaves tonight. Buyers from the outer rim." Ryan clenched his jaw. He couldn't walk away now. Not after what he saw. Not after seeing those kids locked up like animals. He looked at Lily, who was trembling but brave. "We'll come back for them," he whispered. "But we need a plan." Lily nodded. "Promise me, Daddy," she said softly. "Promise you'll save her." Ryan's eyes softened. "I promise," he said, though inside he knew the risk. One wrong move and they could both vanish like smoke. As they left the dockyard, the night wind howled through the broken metal towers, and in the distance a storm of sand and lightning began to form. Ryan looked back one last time at the glowing lights of the containers, knowing that tomorrow his next move would decide everything. The night storm raged over Vetra 9, flashes of lightning turning the metal towers white for a heartbeat. Ryan couldn't sleep. The image of the alien children locked in that dark container burned behind his eyes. Lily slept beside him, clutching her small blanket. Even in dreams her hand reached for something. Maybe for Ray. When dawn came, Ryan moved quietly. The soldier in him had awakened. Years ago he swore he'd never fight again. But some things didn't stay buried. He brewed a cup of bitter synth coffee and stared at the hollow screen showing the outer dockyards. guarded by mercenaries, illegal traders, and worse, he muttered to himself. One small girl shouldn't be worth this much risk. But deep down he already knew. This wasn't about one girl anymore. It was about his daughter's faith in him when Lily woke. She found her father packing a small field kit, an energy cutter, a pistol, a scanner, and a coil of fiber rope. "Are we going to help Ray?" she asked, her sleepy voice soft but sure. Ryan smiled faintly. "We're going to try," he said. "But you have to do exactly what I say." Lily nodded, her eyes shining. "I promise." They left their small home and took a cargo hauler toward the old district. The city around them changed as they went deeper. Lights dimmed. Streets grew empty and silence filled the air. At the entrance to the dockyard, a group of guards checked passes. Ryan knew bribery was the only way in. He handed the guard a few credit chips and said, "Maintenance crew, Section 9D." The guard scanned him lazily and waved him through. Inside, the smell of oil and rust filled the air. Ships half broken lay scattered, and somewhere beneath, hundreds of containers waited, some full of scrap, others full of life that was being sold away. Ryan's jaw tightened. He turned to Lily. "Stay behind me." They moved between the rows of containers, his scanner blinking faint signals of life. Finally, he found the one with the same serial number he had seen last night. "BX, this is it," he whispered. Lily pressed her ear to the metal and whispered, "Ray, it's me." A faint voice came from inside. Trembling but alive. "Lily? You came back?" Ryan started cutting through the lock with the energy tool, sparks flying. But before he could finish, the sound of footsteps echoed again. Heavy, armored. "Hey! Who's there?" A rough voice shouted. Ryan pulled Lily behind a crate, his pulse steady. He waited until the guard passed, then returned to the door and forced it open inside. Ray and the other children looked up with wide, frightened eyes. "We're getting you out," Ryan said, his voice low and calm. "Quietly now." He helped Ray to her feet, her legs weak, her small hands clutching Lily's arm. "You came for me," Ray whispered, her voice full of disbelief. Lily smiled softly. "Daddy keeps his promises." They led the group out one by one, hiding between containers, but when they reached the exit gate, sirens blared. Someone had spotted the open lock. Red lights flashed across the metal walls, and a voice shouted through speakers, "Unauthorized breach detected. Sector lockdown initiated." Ryan grabbed Lily and Ray. "Run!" he yelled. The children scattered toward the shadows. Ryan fired his pistol once, hitting a drone that hovered above them. It exploded in a burst of sparks. The path opened for a moment and they dashed through, but another drone appeared, aiming directly at them before Ryan could shoot. Ray lifted her trembling hand, the silver lines on her skin glowing brightly. A wave of energy burst out, slamming the drone into the wall. Ryan stared in shock. "What was that?" he whispered. Ray looked terrified. I don't know, it just happened when I was scared." They reached a small service tunnel and ducked inside, breathing hard above them. The sound of guards running echoed through the metal corridors. Ryan sealed the hatch behind them and turned to the two girls. "All right," he said quietly. "We'll rest here for now." He looked at Ray. "You're not just an outcast, are you? What did they want from you?" Ray's eyes filled with tears. "They said my blood can power machines," she whispered. "That's why they call us dirty. We carry the old war energy." Ryan's mind spun. If that was true, then these children weren't slaves. They were being harvested for something far darker. He looked at Lily and said, "We're not leaving this planet until I stop whoever's behind this." Lily nodded bravely, holding Ray's hand. "Then we'll save them all," she said. In that moment, under the dim red glow of the tunnel, a soldier's heart began to beat again, and a father's promise turned into a mission that would shake the colony's buried secrets. The tunnel stretched deep beneath Vetra 9, cold, dark, and filled with the faint hum of buried machinery. Ryan led the two girls through the dim corridor, his flashlight cutting through the mist. The deeper they went, the more he felt the air change, thicker, warmer, almost alive. Ray walked carefully beside Lily, her silver skin faintly glowing with every step. Lily held her hand tightly, whispering small things to keep her calm. But Ray's eyes were haunted. "They said this place was built over bones," she murmured. "Old war bones." Ryan stopped, turning his light toward her. "What do you mean?" Ray pointed to the walls where strange patterns pulsed faintly, like veins under skin. "Before humans came, this planet was a war zone," she said. "My people used energy from the dead. It stayed in our blood. Ryan frowned, studying the glowing marks. Bioresonance energy, he muttered, remembering something from his military past. Experimental tech used to power war machines, but it was banned after the Great Collapse, Ray nodded slowly. That's why they call us dirty bloods. Our energy is strong but cursed. Lily looked up at her father. Daddy, that's not fair, she said softly. Ray didn't choose to have that, Ryan smiled faintly. You're right, he said. No child should be punished for what others did. As they continued, the tunnel opened into a wide chamber. Massive conduits ran along the walls, and in the center stood a glowing crystal engine humming with strange blue light. Inside the glass casing floated several small vials of glowing silver liquid. Blood. Ray froze, her voice trembling. That's from us. Ryan's eyes darkened, his jaw tight. They're harvesting it, he said in disbelief. They're using your blood to power the colony. Footsteps echoed above. The sound of boots and metal clanks. Ryan pulled the girls behind a pillar. Through the grate he saw several men in uniforms, human engineers and alien officers. One of them was a tall figure in white armor with the colony emblem. Governor Tren, the man who ruled Vetra 9. Tren spoke in a calm but cold voice. The production rate is stable. The new subjects from the dockyard will be processed by morning, one of the engineers asked nervously. Governor, the human patrols might notice the missing children, Tren smirked. Let them notice. Humans talk, but they never act. Not unless it profits them. Ryan's blood boiled. He recognized that tone. The same arrogance he'd fought against in the old wars. Men who saw life as fuel. Lily tugged his sleeve, whispering, Daddy. We can't let them hurt more kids, he nodded slowly. No, we won't. But just then Ray gasped softly. The silver marks on her skin began to glow brighter, pulsing faster as if reacting to the machine. The hum grew louder. Tren turned sharply. What was that? Scan the lower tunnels. Ryan grabbed Ray's shoulders, whispering, Ray, focus, calm down, they'll find us. She clenched her fists, tears forming in her eyes. It hurts. It's pulling me. Ryan pulled her into his arms, shielding her light. Breathe, kid. Stay with me, he whispered. Above them, alarms blared. Soldiers began rushing toward the tunnel entrance. Ryan looked around quickly. There was a side passage, half collapsed, leading deeper underground. Move, he said, taking Lily's hand and guiding Ray through the narrow gap. They crawled through the rubble until they reached a smaller room filled with broken machines and old records. Ryan scanned the dusty datapads, one still flickered with power. On it were files marked Project Genesis. He tapped the screen and an old video log began to play. A human scientist appeared, exhausted, speaking to the recorder. Day 347. The bioenergy transfer from alien DNA has proven stable. The governor plans to weaponize it. They're calling it salvation, but it's slavery in disguise. Ryan's heart sank. So that's what this is, he muttered. They're draining them to keep this colony alive. Ray covered her face, whispering, That's why they took my mother. She never came back. Lily hugged her gently. You're safe with us now, she said, her voice small but strong. Ryan turned to the girls, determination burning in his eyes. We're not running anymore, he said. We're taking this to the surface. Everyone will know what they've done. But before they could move, a beam of light hit them. Soldiers had found the passage. Tren's voice echoed, Seal the exits! Capture them alive, especially the human. Ryan fired at the lights, grabbing both girls and diving behind a console. Sparks filled the air as bullets struck the metal. We need another way out, he shouted. Ray closed her eyes, trembling. I can try something, she whispered. But it will hurt. Before Ryan could stop her, the silver marks on her body flared like lightning. The air vibrated with energy and the nearby wall cracked open, revealing a hidden lift shaft glowing faintly blue. Ryan stared, shocked but amazed. You did that? Ray swayed weakly. It listens to me. The machines. They hear my blood. Without wasting time, Ryan lifted her into his arms and said, Then let's make it here, Freedom. He stepped into the lift with both girls. As the door sealed behind them, explosions echoed above, and the elevator began to rise, carrying them toward the surface, toward truth, danger, and the beginning of a rebellion that none of them could yet imagine. The lift rose through layers of metal and dust until it stopped with a deep clang. Ryan forced the doors open, and a rush of cold air greeted them above. The colony lights flickered weakly. Dawn had not yet come, and Vetra 9 felt like a sleeping beast. Ray leaned against Lily, pale and exhausted, faint silver glow still flickering on her skin. Ryan wrapped his jacket around her shoulders. "You did good, kid," he said softly. "You saved us." They emerged into an abandoned section of the upper colony. Rows of silent machinery and shattered glass domes surrounded them. From here, Ryan could see the governor's central tower in the distance, glowing with power drawn from the very energy Ray's people were being drained for. Lily pointed at it, her voice trembling. "Daddy." "That's where the bad man lives," Ryan nodded slowly, his eyes narrowing. "Yes. And that's where we'll finish this, but they couldn't go there yet, not without proof." He turned on the datapad they had taken. The Project Genesis file still flickered. He needed to broadcast it to the colony network, to show everyone what was happening beneath their feet. They found a small comm station nearby, broken but fixable. Ryan knelt and began repairing the console with a piece of scrap wire and his old military knife. Sparks danced and finally the screen lit up. "It's working," he muttered as the data loaded. Ray's soft voice broke the silence. "They'll come for me," she whispered. "They always do." Ryan looked at her and smiled faintly. "Then let them come. This time they'll find something waiting." Lily reached over, gently holding Ray's hand. "You're not alone anymore," she said. Suddenly a low hum filled the air. The comm screen flickered, and then a face appeared. Governor Trenz. Cold and smirking. "Captain Ryan Hale," he said smoothly. "I should have known a war relic like you couldn't stay quiet forever." Ryan's eyes narrowed. "You're a coward, Tren. Feeding on children to keep your lights on." Tren chuckled. "Feeding? No, my dear Captain. Progress, we keep the colony alive. Your kind built this place on lies. I simply make them useful." Ray stepped forward, trembling but angry. "You're killing us," she shouted, her voice small but filled with fury. "You took my mother." Tren tilted his head, smiling cruelly. "Oh, the outcast girl survives. How poetic. She was valuable, you know. Her energy levels were almost perfect." Ryan's fists clenched. "You'll pay for that," he growled. Tren's smirk faded, his tone turning sharp. "No, you will, human. You've broken into restricted areas, stolen property, and interfered with government operations. Soldiers are already on their way." The screen blinked off. Ryan cursed under his breath. "We have minutes," he said. "Grab what you can." Outside, the sound of engines roared closer. Armored carriers descending through the smog. Lily clung to Ray as Ryan disconnected the broadcast system. But before he could move, the first explosion hit. The comm tower beside them burst into flames, throwing them to the ground. Smoke filled the air, the walls cracked. Ryan pulled Lily and Ray behind a metal beam. Gunfire echoed through the ruins. "They found us," Lily shouted, coughing. Ryan looked at the comm screen, still glowing faintly. The upload bar was only at 70%. "Come on," he muttered. "Just a little longer." Ray's hands began to glow again, her fear turning into raw power. "I can stop them," she whispered. "I can make the machine sleep." Ryan hesitated. "Ray, it could kill you." She looked at him, eyes full of determination. "You said freedom listens to me. Let me make it listen." Before he could stop her, Ray stepped out from cover, her small figure bathed in silver light. She raised her arms, and a wave of energy pulsed through the ground. Drones and rifles froze midair, their lights flickering out one by one. The soldiers stumbled back, shouting, "She's disrupting the system! Take her down!" Ryan rushed forward, firing at the troops to cover her. Each shot echoing in the dust. Lily screamed as the air shimmered. The power around Ray growing too bright. Then silence, the entire sector went dark. Even the governor's tower in the distance dimmed. The colony's power grid had shut down. Ray collapsed, the silver glow fading. Ryan caught her just in time. "Ray!" "Stay with me," he said, shaking her lightly. Her voice was weak, barely a whisper. "It stopped hurting. Is that good?" Ryan nodded, his throat tight. "Yeah, kid." "That's good." The comm screen blinked once. Upload complete. Ryan's eyes widened. The file had gone through. The truth was now public. Every citizen of Vetra 9 could see the horror under their colony. Suddenly, loudspeakers crackled across the city. The governor's voice roared with anger. "People of Vetra 9, do not believe the lies of this human traitor. He threatens your lives, your energy, your future." Ryan looked toward the tower, his expression grim. "He's scared," he said. "And that means he's desperate." Lily stood beside him, holding Ray's limp hand. "What do we do now, Daddy?" Ryan looked out at the flickering skyline. "Now," he said quietly, "we finish what we started." He lifted Ray into his arms. her faint silver lines glowing once more in rhythm with the storm above, and together they began walking toward the governor's tower. One human, one child, and one alien girl whose blood could change the fate of worlds. The colony of Vetra 9 woke to darkness. For the first time in years, the towers did not hum, the vents did not breathe, and the endless glow of synthetic dawn was gone. People stepped out of their metallic homes, staring at the sky streaked with the real light of the twin suns. The broadcast had already spread. Every screen, every communicator, every home holopad showed the same images. Alien children locked in cages, silver blood draining into machines, and the governor's voice approving it all. Whispers turned to gasps. Gasps turned to anger. Ryan moved through the shadowed alleys with Lily and the unconscious Ray in his arms. Every few steps he looked up expecting soldiers, but none came yet. The system shutdown had frozen most of the automated patrols. "We've got a small window," he muttered. "We reach the tower before Tren restores power." Lily hurried beside him, her face smudged with dust but her eyes steady. "People saw it, Daddy. Everyone knows now." Ryan nodded. "Knowing is one thing. Doing something, that's harder." They reached the central sector where crowds had begun to gather. Aliens and humans stood side by side, their faces lit by the shaky glow of emergency lamps. Someone pointed at Ryan, whispering, "That's him, the human who showed us the truth." Ryan didn't slow down. He wasn't here for fame. He was here to end it. But a new sound rolled through the air, engines. Dozens of carriers swooped down, scattering the crowd. Soldiers in black armor poured out, their weapons gleaming. A voice echoed from a loudspeaker. "By order of Governor Tren, all citizens must disperse. The power failure is under control." Ryan pushed Lily behind a column, lowering Ray gently onto the ground. "Stay with her. No matter what happens, don't move until I say." He stepped out as the soldiers advanced, hands raised but eyes hard. "You're guarding a man who bleeds children dry," he shouted, his voice carrying across the square. "How much is your silence worth?" The commander raised his rifle. "Enough to keep this colony alive." But then from the crowd a voice answered, "Alive? Or enslaved?" It was an alien merchant, his face pale but his stance firm. Another joined in. "He showed us proof." The soldiers hesitated. Confusion rippled through their ranks. Up in the tower, Governor Tren watched through his control screen, his jaw tight. "Cut the transmission, get the grid online," he barked, "and find that human." Back on the ground, a beam of light flared from the sky, Tren's personal gunship descending fast. The governor stepped out, wearing white armor polished to a mirror sheen. His face was calm, but his eyes burned with fury. "Ryan Hale," he called. "You think you've saved them, but all you've done is doom us all. Without the resonance energy, the colony will collapse within days." Ryan's answer was cold. "Then maybe it should. If survival means murder, it's not worth saving." Tren's smile twisted, spoken like a soldier who's already lost everything. He raised his gauntlet, pressing a control key. "Bring the child." Suddenly, 2 drones swooped from the rooftops, aiming for Ray. Lily screamed, trying to shield her, but one blast hit the ground beside them, sending dust and debris into the air. Ryan ran, heart-pounding, firing at the drones. One went down in sparks. The other grabbed Ray with its metal claws, lifting her into the air. "No," Lily cried. Ryan leapt, catching the drone's frame mid-flight, pulling it down with sheer strength. The machine crashed, sparks flying, and Ray tumbled free. Her body glowed brighter than ever before. Not weak, not broken, but alive with power. The ground trembled. Every dormant machine around them began to hum. Ray stood, her eyes silver, voice calm but echoing with something ancient. "You wanted my energy, now take it back." A surge of light burst from her body, rippling through the air like a shockwave. The governor's armor flickered, systems dying, his control devices melting under the pulse. The colony's power grid overloaded again, this time for good. When the light faded, the city was silent. Smoke rose from the tower's base. Tren stumbled, his armor cracked, staring at the small alien girl standing tall among humans and aliens alike. "You're a mistake," he hissed. Ray met his gaze, voice steady. "No, I'm what's left of what you tried to erase." The crowd erupted, humans and aliens cheering together for the first time. The twin suns rose above Vetra 9 for the first time without the haze of artificial light. The colony that had once been powered by stolen life was now silent, raw and real. Smoke curled above the broken towers of the governor's fortress, and the air smelled of iron and dust, but also of something new, something clean. Ryan walked slowly through the quiet streets. Lily held Ray's hand, guiding her along the cracked path. The little alien girl was weak but awake, her silver veins now dim and calm. "It's quiet," she whispered. "Too quiet," Ryan nodded. "Quiet's not always bad. Sometimes it means people are thinking for once." Around them, people began to emerge, humans and aliens together. They stared at the three figures walking through the square, whispering. Some bowed their heads at Ray. Others looked at Ryan with a mix of awe and gratitude. The broadcast had done its job. The lie was gone. A voice called from the crowd, "Is it true? Are the governors dead?" Ryan stopped. "Trend's gone," he said simply. "But if we don't change, someone worse will rise. Truth doesn't fix anything unless you hold it." The crowd murmured in agreement. Then an elderly alien stepped forward, his blue eyes soft. "The energy is fading. Without it, this world will die." Ryan turned to Ray, who looked down at her hands. "Maybe it doesn't have to," she said quietly. "Maybe it can live another way." She walked toward the nearest power conduit, placing her palm against the cold metal. A faint hum filled the air. Silver light spread through the pipe. Not violent, not forced, but gentle. Machines stirred, lights flickered, and soft power returned to the colony. Ray's glow faded again, but this time she smiled. "It listens when I ask," she said. "Not when they take." The people gasped in wonder. A child shouted, "She brought the light back." Ryan felt something in his chest. Pride, maybe hope. Lily hugged Ray from behind. "You're our friend, Ray. You're everyone's friend now." But the peace was fragile. From the broken tower, a wounded officer stumbled out, weapon raised. "She's a weapon," he screamed. "You don't know what she'll become. Her kind will destroy us all." Ryan stepped in front of Ray, his hand steady on his gun, but his voice calm. "No, it's men like you who destroy everything." The officer hesitated, trembling. The crowd surrounded him, not with violence but with silent refusal. He dropped his weapon and ran. Ryan turned to the people. "No more slaves. No more lies. Humans and aliens. We build this place together or we lose it together." The crowd roared in agreement, voices rising, echoing through the metallic streets. For the first time, Vetra 9 felt united. Days passed. The dead were buried, the injured treated. Machines were repaired using Ray's new method, shared energy, willingly given, never taken. The governor's banners were torn down, replaced with hand-painted symbols. 2 suns, 1 blue and 1 gold. Touching at the center, at night, under the real stars, Ryan sat with the 2 girls near the edge of the city. Lily leaned against him, sleepy. Ray watched the horizon where the twin suns would rise again soon. "Will they come for us?" she asked softly. "The ones who ran the old systems from the other colonies?" Ryan looked at the stars. "Maybe. Power always comes back. But when it does, we'll be ready." Ray tilted her head. "You'll fight again?" He smiled faintly. "No. This time we teach others how not to need fighting." Lily yawned. "Can I teach too?" Ryan chuckled. "You already did, kiddo. You taught the whole galaxy what kindness looks like." The morning wind blew across the fields of metal and sand. Far in the distance, the new generators hummed softly, powered not by blood but by harmony between 2 species once afraid to look at each other. Ray turned to Ryan, her voice almost a whisper. "When I was in the cage, I wish someone would see me. Not as an outcast, not as a thing, just me. You did." Ryan looked at her, eyes soft but firm. "My daughter did first. I just followed her lead." Lily smiled in her sleep, her hand still holding Ray's. The twin suns rose together, bathing Vetra 9 in light that no longer belonged to one race or another, but to all who dared to share it. And for the first time in its long, war-scarred history, the colony didn't just survive, it began to live.